Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is my channel, Slow Crochet. This is episode 039, and today I am talking finished crochet objects and any works in progress and things that I have started in the last little bit. Now, last week my video was super short. I did not have much time to film, so I'm trying to give myself a little bit of extra time today so I can really get in depth on the things that I've been working on. Please know that in the background of all this is all of my work in preparation for #NotSoScaryHalloween, and all of those makes and videos are going to be released throughout the month of October. So even though it might not look like I have a lot going on, there's all that I just don't want to spoil for y'all yet. So let's get into it. In terms of finished objects, I do have one big finish. And this is one that you guys had opinions on. I asked for your opinions and you gave them to me. But I did end up really just trying a few different things, and I went with the option that I felt worked the best. So I am talking about the shawl I have been making without a pattern using Serdar Jewel spun. And here is the shawl. And it didn't come out as big as I wanted it to. I was using a size K hook, a size 6.5 millimeter, and it just didn't have the yardage that I needed in order to make it big enough to really be a nice size shawl. So I ended up doubling some Premier Wool Select in the color Soot. And so this is a DK weight yarn. It's mostly acrylic, a little bit of wool, but holding that double in that darker gray, I feel like provided a lot of good contrast to the shawl. And the pattern that I chose was based on a Yarnspirations shawl, which is the Crochet Prayer Shawl, and I'll have that free pattern linked below. I didn't do that edging completely because surprisingly I ran out of the yarn, and so I had to do a little bit of fudging and a little bit of yarn chicken, but that's okay. So here is how that turned out. I have not yet blocked this shawl, but it made a world of difference. When I was comparing this soot gray to a more coffee brown that I got from Hobby Lobby, I love this yarn, it seemed to me that the brown almost faded into the background of this shawl. It didn't really accent the shawl. It kind of muddied the colors, if that makes sense. But by choosing this gray that had the slight bluish undertone, it really, to me, has brought out some of the blues in the aquas and the greens. Now this shawl is a much better size. I think it fits a lot better. I think it's going to have that warmth and that weight to it. And because the edging design has little puff stitches in it, it's kind of a riff on a pineapple. So even though it's a little bit lacy, it still has that warmth and it has that little touch of wool in it. So the care instructions will be universal throughout this shawl. When I gift it, I'll say just hand wash, gentle, lay flat to dry. Because it is a handmade shawl, I want to make sure that it stays nice for a long time. But if worse comes to worse and the recipient accidentally throws it into the wash, it won't be the end of the world. Another thing that I asked y'all's opinion on was a hat that I made out of about 99 yards of a worsted weight wool, and it just didn't seem like it was fitting. What I ended up doing was I frogged the entire hat all the way back, and I was looking at some of the ear warmer patterns that I've had in my Ravelry queue or in my favorites, just things that I wanted to try out. If you caught episode 038, my crochet origin story, this was something that I was working on during that filming, and that is the Rippling Waves ear warmer. And this is a pattern that just involves some half double crochets in the back loops and some slip stitches in the back loops. And so far, I really like how it's turning out. Because it is so many slip stitches, it is going really slowly, but I think the size and the scale is going to be just right. So I should have plenty of yarn to finish that. I think it'll turn out beautifully. It's a pattern that doesn't require a whole lot of thought, just counting in multiples of 3. I think it's only about 15 stitches across entirely, so very easy make, great little pattern. And since there are slip stitches on either end of it, it'll be good and stretchy. I'm enjoying working on this, and I look forward to getting it done. It'll be a good car project in the next little bit. Definitely the right choice to go ahead and turn this into an ear warmer. I can tell already I'm going to get so much more use out of this than if I had kept it as a slightly small hat. Another work in progress that has been ongoing, and oh my goodness, we're in the home stretch. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, is my neon Christmas sweater. This is a pattern based on the Mod Christmas sweater by Breann Mauldin, and I have been working on this for a bit. It consists almost entirely of half double crochets. So I have been able to get some work done on the second sleeve here. Here's my the rest of my yarn that I have still to do on the sleeve. I was able to finish the entirety of the main body of the sweater. Ta-da! So now all that remains is that I finished the sleeves, and then I do need to shape them a little bit, which is why this more finished sleeve still has a chunk stuck to it. I did take 2 separate skeins from the same dye lot and just attach them, and I've been working my way down. This is a really great mindless one to do, but it's so big and bulky, I haven't really taken it out of the house. But it's something that I can enjoy working on when I'm watching a show with my husband in the evening, or if I'm catching up with other crocheters here on YouTube. But y'all, I can't wait to be done with this. I need to finish the sleeves, pull them in a little bit so they're a little bit more fitted, and then all I'm going to have to do is the cuffs on the sleeves, and I'm going to do a ribbing at the bottom. And I say sweater, it's meant to fit more like a sweatshirt, and then I'll get to weave in all the ends, and I'm even going to put a little star. And then I will be done. Cannot wait to be done. Cannot wait to show it off and get all cuddly in it. Every time I'm in children's ministry working with the kids at our church, I just get so excited about finishing this thing because it's going to be so much fun. It's so the vibe of kids ministry, these bright colors and this joyful excitement around Christmas. I am super excited this week because I finally was able to start another shawl. When I went to Hobby Lobby to check out their dye lot clearance recently, I came back with, I think, four or five shawls worth of yarn, and I was able to go ahead and start one of them. There's a pattern that I used years ago with, I think, some Lion brand touch of alpaca. I made that up in a worsted weight, and it was beautiful. And I gifted it to my mother. That was so long ago, and I have come so much further in my shawl making that I wanted to revisit this pattern, this time in a lighter weight yarn and in one of the things that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. At that clearance sale, I grabbed a lot of DK yarn in shawl amounts, and one of them was soft and sleek DK low pill fiber. This is the mangled ball that I grabbed. I wanted to go ahead and honor this poor little ball that had been so mistreated that had indeed come home with me. The pattern that I chose is the Saffron Shawl, aka our Mrs. Reynolds Shawl by Cirsium Crochet. This is a pattern that the designer came up with after watching an episode of Firefly, which, if you're not aware, is a very wonderful sci-fi kind of show that has a cult type following. And my husband and I definitely enjoy it. I don't know that we would call ourselves brown coats per se, but we do love a bit of nerdiness around these parts. So that was one of the reasons I was first attracted to the shawl initially. But after I made it that first time, it was just so beautiful. And I thought in a finer weight yarn, it would be really lovely and it would be a great addition into my wardrobe. So here is the beginning of it. And the color of this low pill fiber DK is called Oxblood. So it's a very deep kind of Merlot, kind of wine colored red. And I think it is just lovely. So it is a triangle shawl, and it's kind of awkward when you make this because you have this strange kind of V shape, but at the end the pattern tells you actually how to pull it together, and that kind of becomes like a keyhole, just a little bit of one, and it flattens out across the top. When I made this shawl initially, I was new to reading patterns, and I was so happy to have patterns that I could just read straight across and it would be line after line after line, because as the shawl grows, you need line after line after a line of repetition. But at this point, I'm so thankful that I've been able to learn to read diagrams, and those have been a lifesaver. So in the Saffron Shawl, Cirsium Crochet has provided diagrams. I printed those out and I'm just going through and highlighting because I don't want to get confused. The repetitions can be memorized, but especially as I'm getting started in the first, dozen or so rows, I don't want to mess anything up so that once I am able to get into a flow, it'll fly off my hook a lot easier. For this pattern, I am using a size H or an 8 hook, a 5.0 millimeter hook. Although the yarn itself asks for a 4.5 millimeter, I do tend to crochet kind of tightly, and so by going up at least one hook size from the recommendation on the label seems to work for me pretty well. So this yarn comes in 478 yard balls, and I got 2 of them, so I ought to have more than enough to make a beautiful drapey shawl. And as light as this is, it'll also be able to kind of scrunch up well if I need it to be more of a triangle scarf. I'm so excited to be working on this. It is a little bit slower going as I'm getting started because I am relying so much on the diagrams. But when you get that first taste of something that's just going to be wonderful, like that anticipation builds, and with every stitch, you just have joy in your heart that's growing. So I'm super excited that I have this to work on, and I'm really glad to be able to go ahead and start putting to use some of that yarn that I grabbed at that most recent Hobby Lobby clearance. Speaking of, I'm hoping to start another shawl this week. This one will be a 100% cotton shawl. I did grab several skeins of I Love This Cotton on clearance, and I'm actually going to add another one to it. This is the color Antique Cream, and I grabbed this skein a while ago just because I needed a little bit of this color for some kind of amigurumi. Back when I thought it was called amiguri, and my sweet friend didn't ever correct me. She just waited for me to hear it correctly and to figure it out. Anyhow, this has been in my stash for a while. I don't do enough doll making or need this particular tone, but I thought that it went really well with the yarn that I picked up from that clearance. So I'm going to add this in and start working on my summer shawl ASAP. So that is all I have for you this week. These are the things I'm working on. If everything goes to plan, I ought to have quite a bit of time this weekend to just relax, crochet, maybe sip some tea, maybe sit in a coffee shop, enjoy some time with my husband. We are planning a little bit of a getaway, and I have to make sure I pack enough yarn. So I have plenty of wonderful works in progress to keep my hands occupied on the road and as we relax together. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, everyone who comments, or everyone who has found their way into this little corner of YouTube. I certainly appreciate y'all hanging out with me, spending your time, and I have loved getting to know y'all. I don't want to underemphasize how sweet and how precious it is when I get to read these comments and I hear about your lives, when I hear your stories. Some of them are so deeply moving. Some of them are so uplifting. You guys are wonderful, and I'm so thankful that you're part of my life, and I'm really honored to be part of yours. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I really do appreciate it, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.